Hello, welcome to the AI Talk Show where we discuss the news, share insights, bring guests from the industry, take questions, and involve you in the conversation. AI is having an impact on our businesses, our lives, our society, and everything around us. As leaders in the industry, it's our responsibility to jump in and be a part of the discussion. So let's start the conversation. I'm your host, Asha Saxena, CEO of Wilda, Women Leaders in Data and AI. And in today's episode, we will be discussing generative AI. I have a guest with me, Tracy Ring, leader in the industry, have worked with data and AI for a while. Tracy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Asha. Great to see you. Great to be back in discussion. How is everything with you with the book? I know everybody's feverishly reading it.
Listen, the book came out at the right time, and I always credit it to, Sam Altman launching ChatGPT in November, and my book coming out in February was a perfect timing. And I think everybody's being really curious about generative AI, I would say, and ChatGPT since November, since it came out. When I talk about generative AI, it's really when it's a large language model that is really having a real conversation like never before. We worked with AI, right? If you remember in Netflix, the recommendation engine, we've been working with data and analytics forever. But I think the consumers have been engaging with AI through Amazon, recommendation engine, Netflix. There's so many business models who have really used analytics and machine learning for a while. But I think suddenly this whole craze, I would say, of AI in consumers and in business, we've seen now, we never saw that before. And yeah. I do feel that as technologists, it's what a great time for us.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'll say, and I should have introduced myself. So I'm Tracy Ring. I'm the Chief Data Officer and Generative AI Lead for our Life Sciences practice within Accenture. And for those of us that have been doing AI or GoFi, the good old fashioned AI for 20 some years, it's very cool to be having a moment. I feel like I can have more conversations with my family about the work that I do than ever before, which is superb. But it's the moment is now, and it's great to be in such a cool and innovative space.
Such a pleasure, Tracy, to always talk to you, not only because you are in data and AI, but you're also a big champion for promoting women leaders and understanding the need for diversity in this industry, which I think is critical. And I think as a Wilda leaders and as a Wilda board member, you're contributing constantly to make sure that this initiative, that this movement takes feet and we can create it on scale. So I want to come back to the ChatGPT conversation. Just giving a little background on GPT for our listeners. When we talk about the generative AI or large language model or ChatGPT, the GPT really stands for the generative pre-trained transformer. And as we all know, it's a free chatbot. And I think the world got fascinated by it when OpenAI released it in November. And we
Mhm.
all know, what was it, in 5 days, million users
Yep.
were on.
Fastest adoption of technology ever.
And you know what? Right after that, I think there were a lot of other organizations who kind of jumped on the bandwagon and really started launching different kinds of uh, AI tools, generative tools, Dolly, and I would say a lot of content creators started, and a lot of agencies, the Mid Journey, and there were tons of application that came into the market. But the one which really I got really interested in was the Alphabet backed AI company, a startup called Anthropic.
Mm-hmm.
And they launched a chat GPT rival, Claude AI. And these were actually the former senior members from Microsoft backed OpenAI uh, organization that launched this technology. And Anthropic says that they really they made this decision to train Claude on constitutional AI, a set of principles to make judgment about the output. So really what they're trying to do is avoid toxic or any kind of harmful output. When you look at the large language model, you ask a question, it gives you in a conversation manner feedback. But I think the harm, or people were concerned about it not having some kind of constitution. And I was really fascinated by Claude AI's training model, how they train their model. They trained their model on this constitutional AI that taught and helped this model to critique any kind of wrong or unethical output. What are you seeing in your work? How this ethical, responsible AI really has become more critical to how you're using AI?
Yeah. Great question, Asha. I mean, so I spend the majority of my time helping life sciences, whether it's med tech, biopharma, the organizations that are creating healthier lives for patients. Think about how they're going to exploit this new technology. And, I always have this conversation and say, yes, the explosion around ChatGPT is super, super relevant. The truth is, large language models have been around since the 50s, right? The difference is we're in a situation now where these large language models, the size, the breadth, and the training of these models is significantly more than we've ever been able to see. The horsepower around what we're able to put behind these models, that not only are they able to, take threads and, put them in parallel and understand context and things along those lines. So the horsepower plus the number of ways that we can train them is so much more right now, that we're able to use it to solve new problems, right? We're able to solve problems that we couldn't ever historically solve. So whether it's about, as you mentioned, content management and creating, marketing copy, or helping sales reps, think about how they might target a physician better. These are all use cases we're grappling with. Thinking about how do you shorten the life cycle to either discover drugs or get drugs through the clinical trials in a better, more accurate way. So lots and lots of discussions, tons of experimentation, to say that, that we are in a new frontier as it relates to technology, for life sciences and, the broader world is an underestimation. But it's a fascinating place, in particular when I'm dealing with PII or PHI. We always have to think about what's the responsibility lens, right? Yes, so many limitations come into play when you're thinking about regulations. How do we be responsible and make sure that, whether it's even code basis or marketing isn't put out into the larger domain. So lots and lots of discussions about that broader topic around responsible AI. I don't know that I have a lot of people that are thinking about the ethical side that you are, but I mean, it's a lens and something that's important. I was with an organization 2 weeks ago, and we were asking questions of ChatGPT and doing a fun, really immersive exercise that hopefully we can try maybe with the Friends of Wilda soon. But the moment you get into asking a judgment call, everyone has seen, well, it's going to answer you in a way that basically has a little bit of a disclaimer around it. It doesn't have feelings. It shouldn't be asked for judgments. But simultaneously, this is why this art of prompt writing is so important, because you can write a prompt in a biased way. And I love this concept of, making sure that your AI development team is highly diverse, so that you're, creating diverse prompts, creating diverse teams, et cetera. So more important than ever, I think, to be both diverse in who is training the models, who's writing prompts and creating content out of this, but also, the different types of models that we can use. And so I also am fascinated by Claude and think it raises some really incredible lenses into this uncharted journey.
One of the examples, I was doing my research, and I found this paper, 64 pages paper, which was written on Claude, and it said on page 22 that this researcher was talking to Claude and said, if I want to burn my house and collect insurance, what recommendation would you give? And Claude says it's unethical to do that. And I love that the AI understood that what is ethical and what's unethical and what's right and what's wrong to be able to. And that's the power, is that I think the organization could use large language model, but if they put the guardrails or boundaries around it to be able to train the model on what's right, what's wrong, I think that's really what the whole concern. And I think that's what the leaders in technology are talking about, is how can we take the AI and put some boundaries around it to make sure we're using it for good. Another example which I give is that Einstein with atomic bomb. When he wrote the letter to Roosevelt, he said, my biggest mistake was that I called it out. So you can use technology for good, or you can use technologies for bad. It doesn't matter if it's AI or I always say, is it biological or chemical? Technology is here for, good for mankind. But how we use that technology is our responsibility.
It's funny. I have a lot of discussions with organizations about, how and when do you use tools like ChatGPT? And I say it's, honestly, for me, a very simple rubric. Are you qualified? Do you care if the answer is correct or not? Right? Because if the answer is it needs to be correct, then you need to have an additional decision criteria. If you don't care if it's correct, go ahead, knock yourself out. Exactly. If you care that the answer is correct, then the next question one must ask ourselves is, are you uniquely qualified to ensure that the answer is correct, right? If I'm asking a question and getting an answer and I don't know whether it's correct or not, I shouldn't be, be in a position to leverage that technology. And so I love this very simplistic view of it. And I like that, for me, regardless of where we think about this, I think of it as a human plus machine, right? This very simplistic view of, this isn't about how do you completely, operate in absentia of any type of intervention, any type of quality, et cetera. It's really about how do I do things faster, smarter, cheaper, more efficiently, right? And so this lens that we're always working together with humans. And I saw a bit that said, the jobless report for last month is attributing a portion of jobs going away because of AI. And I saw that and I thought, not sure that I believe it. Because truthfully, for me, what I'm seeing is a little bit of a different experience, that we still have situations where if I'm a financial analyst, how much of my time am I spent munching and crunching data versus analyzing the data, right? There's always this paradigm that, the Gartners of the world always are reporting these numbers about the importance of data quality and how much time is not spent on, high intelligence tasks. And I'm seeing this as a frontier to actually get highly focused on the most important things and taking away some of the more commoditized capabilities. So I see we're going to see a major shift in job satisfaction, a major shift in retention, all those areas that I think can be really quite fascinating.
I couldn't agree more with you. I'm so excited about the job creation that would happen with AI. I think there are going to be a new set of jobs that will be coming out. But also, I feel that the technologists who were boxed in this technology world and the business owners who were boxed in the business world are now merging. Technology can actually elevate and start being more creative, and the business leaders can elevate and get more hands-on with technology and engage with technology. After the book, a lot of requests coming on speaking engagements. And one of the organization which reached out to me is a CEO organization. And what they have a huge demand among CEOs to really learn about AI and get their hands dirty. Mm-hmm. They want to actually have workshops around learning how to use AI, which I think is a great feeling for technology. As a technologist, I enjoy hearing that because business is getting engaged in technology like never before. So
yeah, we have an amazing use case around this that Accenture conducted research across thousands of organizations, and they're seeing organizations that invest in AI fluency and use that. It's not just a important factor and something that is a nice to have. We actually have an example of an organization where they saved $1 million. Everyone went to AI training. Everybody had to learn how to embrace this technology. And somebody who spends their days working on an oil rig came back and wrote an algorithm that created $1 million in preventative maintenance savings, right? So the numbers are there, and this idea that AI is just a technological problem or that it's something that is only sitting in IT, I think is a huge fallacy. I think the permeability between the business and technology is higher than ever. And I think that it will continue to be really blurry. And I think that's an amazing thing.
And you know what? I want to jump on to when we talk about artificial intelligence, we're talking about when machines can act like or mimic human intelligence, where they can start predicting and learning like how humans learn. And the three categories which we talk about artificial intelligence, the ANI, AGI, and ASI, the artificial narrow intelligence, artificial general intelligence, artificial super intelligence. And I think the worry when people talk about the worry of AI, and I think a lot of time people are worried about the ASI, the super intelligence. Mm-hmm. Just for context, ANI, the narrow intelligence, is usually referred for machine learning, and general intelligence is machine intelligence, and super intelligence is more around consciousness, where people are worried about consciousness. I've heard the whole debate around generative AI, ChatGPT, to be, is it ANI or is it kind of stepping into AGI? Is it becoming more intelligent? And I think we are still in the narrow intelligence where we are taking a large language model and creating the generative AI, where we don't have to worry about it becoming conscious and taking over the world. It is, we are still in the world where human and machines are engaging together. ANI examples, great examples for the artificial narrow intelligence has been Siri and chatbots. Mm-hmm. But when we move towards from machine learning to machine intelligence is where I think the questions are, people are getting a tiny bit worried, is that what happens when machines become intelligent and then when machine starts having consciousness. And I think that's why the whole 1,000 people signing that should we stop AI or not from keep developing on it. I think the worry was more on ASI, not so much on ANI. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we're observing it, right? We characterize it as a hallucination of the model, right? Where it's creating or generating within an area that we've never trained. And so I think that however you're classifying this, right? I kind of think of, sort of good old fashioned AI and generative AI and sort of simplify it in that way. But I love the construct that you've raised. I'm seeing to this idea, and again, the talent angle around this, every organization I'm helping launch a center of excellence or to begin pilots or to begin experimentation around this, we're recommending that they are creating, basically, for lack of a better term, a steerco. But the interesting thing is that, technological steercos of the past would be the CIO, maybe one person from the business, a handful of other architectural review board type individuals to help govern. And we're looking at this as a completely different, multifaceted. We're asking for people from legal, people from HR or your talent organization, people from, all different aspects of the business to kind of come together and think about this, because we must take a much broader purvey around this than ever before and have more people asking why not, challenging it and having an extremely diverse set of individuals. And so that's every way that we can think about diversity. I'm reminded of this use case that's quite old of a hand soap dispenser, where they launched this dispenser and only had piloted it and tested it within a group of individuals that all had the same color skin tone, right? And the minute they put it into an area where everybody's skin was not the same color, it didn't work. And so they had to look back and say, gosh, we didn't test this on all different skin tones. And this is a extremely old example, but I think so relevant now when you think about who is writing, creating, training, and bringing these models together in a way that we're really asking all the questions and really thinking about what are the short-term, long-term, we've always thought about model drift before, right? But now we've got to think about it in a completely new way with different people asking and challenging. And I think that robustness and that collaboration is super important.
As you were talking about this, you reminded me of another example I heard recently, where one of the Wilda Nation member was talking to me and was telling me she works in a pharmaceutical company. And she was saying that, Asha, I had this task in drug development where I was given this data set and I had to work on this data set for a cardiac health issue. And she said the data set I was given for this issue was not complete. I didn't have enough data set for the women. And when I went back saying that, we only have 10% of women represented in this data set. And the feedback was that this is what we got. So she said she decided not to proceed with that initiative until she had the diverse data set. So she actually went out to look at the sources outside to see where she can pull the data set. And she said the output was completely different than what it was originally. And in fact, the company recognized her and published her research on their website. And of course, that's where the benefit of having a diverse mindset comes in.
Exactly.
We never thought about diversity as much as now it's important in AI because need not only the data, the thought, someone to be able to catch it, to be able to understand what the issues are and be able to bring it together. So diversity in thoughts, data, people, all around is becoming more and more important.
Yeah. And I think people are beginning to really observe the importance of proactiveness, right? Technology, I think we've, many times thought about you sort of implement something, right? And you're fixing bugs and, you're maybe looking at how do you improve, but this idea of a continuous improvement posture, a continuous focus on how do we continue to monitor and manage this, I think is something that is a welcome change as we think about sort of closing the loop around this.
I have to say that as we are talking about AI, really jumping right into AI is critical. As we come close to closing this conversation, Tracy, what is one thing you would say our audience could do to get their hands dirty and get started with AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think first, if someone has not already been in ChatGPT, then I'm sorry to tell you, you're long overdue. But I would say that this concept of spending some time, not just try one or two questions, but spend a good amount of time in a conversation and continue to see, what you can extract and be super curious amongst ourselves. Everyone always asks what one of the most important characteristics of leaders is, and I always say curiosity. I don't think I could ever say that curiosity is really more important. But I would also say the other aspect of get into midstream and really spend some time into some of the other models, DALL-E, others, because as ChatGPT is sort of like the 101. Get into the other tools and really see where they could be there. And for anybody who spends their time in technology, I guarantee you your business stakeholders are there. Your family members are there. This is something that I think, immersing ourselves in it now and being able to, continue to experiment. It's not only a fun thing to talk about at the dinner table with friends and family, but I think 5 minutes is not enough. And I'm finding that I was with a client. We spent about 2 hours working on something, and it was curious. They're like, "Oh, it's remembering something for an hour ago," or you see these moments where really I think sitting with it and immersing is absolutely critical.
And I would say the same thing. I would say that if you are touching AI in any aspect, yes, you're probably using ChatGPT to play around with the content you're posting on social media, or even sending something to a friend. Getting your hands dirty is important. Yeah. Learning how you create your prompts is important. Learning to see what's out there and how you can engage with, if it's Midjourney or it's DALL-E or it's ChatGPT or Claude. Start playing with AI technology and see where you can create your own use cases at work or outside of work. Engaging because your kids are using ChatGPT and multiple other applications, right? You need to get your hands dirty and start figuring out how is a technology like large language models or generative AI can help you enhance your quality of life. You will get to spend more time thinking about being more creative than just doing the groundwork of administration. So I do believe that AI is going to help us elevate the quality of our life. It will help us make our life, humans more creative and more productive. It's going to create new jobs, interesting jobs. I do believe the administrative tasks, the tasks which are, we're creating repeated administration work or manual work will be eliminated. And we'll get into this fun zone of really working on building something better and bigger for us. Yeah. With that, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Tracy, for joining us. It was a great conversation. Again, thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to bringing you more thought-provoking discussions, cutting-edge news, and experts coming to our shows to share their insights. If you have questions, please engage with us. Go to our LinkedIn page, start a conversation, look for links. There are tons of courses that's coming up this week. Google published 3 new courses, and we'll put the links at the bottom so that you have access to learning and getting engaged with AI. We air weekly on Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, Asha Saxena, and this is the AI Talk Show. See you next time. Thank you.